So in this episode of Book of the Beast, this is part 2 of formations, continuing on with the formations in the Wall Gasgul book. And we're going to pick up here with the Dread Mob. Dread Mob is something that came out in Imperial Armor 8, and they released, Portugal released a PDF update, which is now way out of date because it's for the previous codex. But then they put the Dread Mob here in the Wall Gasgul book. So the formation consists of 1 Big Mech, 1 Pain Boy, 2 Gorkanauts or Morkanauts, 3 Death Dreads, and 3 units of Kilocans of at least 3 models. So it's definitely a walker formation, just like Dread Mob's supposed to be. And of course the Big Mech, you can take whatever you want, but it does have to take relics out of this book, so you probably give them the big force field for 75 points. Special rules. Biggest and the best, the boss is watching, of course. Here we go. If every model, so this the formation gains the special rule, here we go. So if every model in a unit has this special rule, you can re-roll single dice when generating its charge range. It's the here we go. Basically, this formation gives here we go to walkers. I mean, you can't really beat that. That's pretty darn good. That's the short answer. So that's why you'd want to take the Dread Mob, is to give your walkers here we go. It's just huge. Here we go is such an amazing rule. Wall of Steel, all models in the formation with a Hammer of Wrath special rule inflict D3 hits instead of the usual 1. Again, that's really cool, because Hammer of Wrath is at initiative 10, which gives orcs a lot of punch for at that particular initiative step. The problem, of course, is that Gorkanauts and Death Dreads and Kilocans aren't very good, and in a competitive environment, even with the kind of wall of steel that we're talking about in this formation. So this is definitely not a competitive list, but it is definitely, absolutely one of the most fun lists you can run, build and run, pure and simple. Of course, you have to have 2 Gorkanauts and Morkanauts, which are kind of spinny models, but most people buy at least 1 anyway, just because it's such a badass model. So Dread Mob, again, as I said, it's not a competitive list formation, but it is definitely one of the most fun things you can do with your orc army. And I'm surprised that you should have another one on here that says everything, all infantry units in your army must be mechanized. That would be even better. So you can combine this and with a Bully Boys and Battle Wagons. Now you're talking a really mechanized army that can do a lot of hurt. You can put out a lot of hurt. Because they're going to be so worried about the mega knobs coming up and smashing their face that they might leave the walkers alone. But anyway, that's just one kind of thing to do. Especially he's not got a paintball. Yeah, that's really good. Really good combination, combining this with Bully Boys. Actually, combining anything with Bully Boys is pretty good. Boss Snickrot's Red Skull Commandos. Boss Snickrot, 4 units of Commandos. Again, this is similar to the Vulture Squad, is that it allows you to make one big giant unit. Boss Snickrot must join one of the units in the formation. The whole formation must be held in reserve. When rolling reserve, make a single reserve roll for all the units. They move on from any table edge when they arrive from reserve, but they must all come from the same table edge. So that kind of sucks. No dice rolls required to determine where they enter from. Whichever turn it is, any unit from this formation that does not shoot in the shooting phase can re-roll its failed cover saves until the start of the next turn. And all units from this formation have their stealth special roll replaced with shrouded special, just like Snickrot normally does. So this doesn't allow you to create one big unit of Commandos, but it gives you 4 units that move in. The downside is they also move in from the same side, which really doesn't give you that much flexibility, unfortunately. It'd be nice if they just come in from wherever you want. If you have like 1 unit coming in from each table edge. Would be the way I think most people would want to play it. So that's kind of a big restriction. I think kind of downplays the effectiveness of the list called Commandos. And Commandos are actually pretty good, to be honest. I mean, they're 10 points. They have move through cover, and they have well, everybody has stick bombs now, but that was a big deal back in the day. You have stick bombs. So Commandos are still really good, and this is kind of fun formation. Again, because of that restriction, they all have to come in from the table side, I probably wouldn't actually play it. And probably the number 1 or number 2 formation in this book with the Bully Boys is the Green Tide. And the Green Tide is amazing. There used to be a formation way back when Apocalypse came out, and you get data slates or formation sheets on the website called the Green Tide. So this is an updated version, and it's worth every bit of it. So what we have here is 1 war boss and 10 units of boys. So minimum investment on this is 660 points. That's just 10 units of 10 boys and 1 plain war boss. So this is going to be a vast majority of your army by the time you're done, because you want to add power fists in there. You're going to want to beef up the war boss, and you're also going to want to run a second formation that allows you to get a pain boy, so the whole unit gains feel no pain. And if you really want to go crazy, you can give the whole, or you actually don't have to give the whole unit, but give some of the unit heavy armor. You could, you know, hypothetically fit 120 heavy armored boys in here along with Mad Dog or Pain Boy. The downside, of course, is the war boss has to be the warlord. The war boss has to accept and issue challenges because of the biggest and the best rule, which is kind of a downside. The upsides is that Green Tide, all units of boys in the war boss form a single unit, and the war boss cannot leave this unit. And the Green Tide counts as 11 victory points, blah blah blah. If the Green Tide ever rolls a breaking heads or squabble result on the mod rule table, any resulting hits are allocated by the formation's controlling player instead of random. Horde. Models in the Green Tide gain the Hammer of Wrath special roll in the assault phase in which they successfully charge an enemy unit, and dice roll charge range of 10 or more before modifiers. Standard stuff for the orcs. You have lots of ways to gain that. And the most important rule is Stampede. If the formation's war boss is your warlord, he can use the Law special roll each and every turn after the first turn. So move up and run the first turn, and the second turn you run, move, run, charge, move, run, charge every single turn. If you got other things that are affected by law, like say DACA jets, it's nice to have that picture of them there. You'll be able to gain those benefits as well from that law every turn. So the Green Tide is very popular. It's very good, especially if you combine it with the big boss pull, because the whole unit's fearless. You get a pain boy in there, so the whole unit has feel no pain. You mix in power fists, so you got a lot. You can have up to 10 power fists in this unit, plus the war boss. How amazing is that? So yeah, there's this is really one of the most popular, one of the best formations in this book, and it's just simply a lot of fun to put 100 frickin' boys down on the table all in one unit and just run forward. That's the way orcs should be played, I think, for the most part. I know I don't usually play them that way anymore because I'm just so in love with war bikes, but 100 boys in a unit or more, because you're not. 100 is just the minimum. I mean, if you're playing the points, you can go up to 300 boys in the Green Tide. The only restriction is the points you're playing. And just, oh my gosh, this is what orcs should be. Is the way orcs are meant to be. Unfortunately, the rules of this game don't always support orcs being played this way. But if you're going to play the Green Tide, you're going to play the Green Tide, and you're going to love it. Even if it doesn't win, even if it's not as good as, you know, some other lists, you're playing the Green Tide is all about playing orcs the way orcs are meant to be. So, yeah, the Green Tide is awesome, and it is actually pretty darn competitive when you're talking about a fearless unit of that many models with feel no pain. So yeah, this is awesome. Green Tide is absolutely amazing. And that pretty much finishes up the formation for Wall Gazgul. Just a real quick afterthought is I'm going to be going over the other formations here in the next video, but I'm really overall disappointed with the number of formations and even the quality of formations the orcs have compared to later books. The orcs were the first book of 7th edition, and it really shows. Kind of like how Orcs and Goblins were the first hardback Warhammer Fantasy book, and it really shows compared to later books. So one of the things that orcs can get from Games Workshop to really help them is just new formations that give great benefits like all the formations that have come out in the book since. What I want is a version, more than anything else, is a version of the Raven Wing Codex, Raven Wing formation. It gives 10 fast attack slots. That would allow me to build my biker army the way I want to build it. But again, there's no real over-the-top formations. There's nothing really competitive or that really changes much. I mean, so this is 100 boy, basically just a 100 boy unit that with fleet is essentially all this does. So it's really, I mean, it's nothing really all that special. It's just really cool. And that's pretty much what it goes for most of these formations. Other than the Bully Boys, there's nothing really in there that alters the way you build an army, which is very disappointing. So that's going to be it for this part 2 of formations, and I'll talk to you later.